Hello, I'm Mantastic'c and Fantastic, and today I want to talk about my fairy title / dimension guide, or MD1 / Alt D MD1 mechanics checklist. So, the fairy title is currently ongoing right now, and in my opinion, the best way to actually tackle a dungeon is to have a checklist of the mechanics you need to counter and a relative idea of when said mechanics may occur. And if you have ways to deal with like the more unavoidable or more lethal things, you have arguably an easier time in clearing that respective dungeon. As such, I want to share with you my personal checklist of what mechanics I would like to address most importantly when tackling these dungeons. So, for the fairy title challenge, I want to stress that if you bring cards with a devil or healer type, they will receive 4 times health and 4 times recovery, which is a massive buff overall. But to compensate for this, all enemies will hit 3.5 times harder. So if your team is mostly devils or healers, it was actually technically going to be an easier time. But if you have fewer of those types brought into the dungeon, you're going to have a much more difficult time actually playing through it because, well, you don't get that huge amount of buffs, like damage, huge amount of health and recovery bonus. And then furthermore, if your team actually relies on a healing solution, such as say someone with enhanced Heart Orb Awakenings, you really want to make sure that they are actually the correct typing, because if they're not, you're not going to have any healing whatsoever and you're going to have a much sadder time overall. So, how to use my checklist? Well, basically the idea is I want to try and give it a quick reference of what is going to be guaranteed to spawn, what's a higher priority and what not. So, first things first is if you see an asterisk beside any floor number, it means that floor or that floor with that respective mechanic will always appear. You're just going to have to deal with it. It's going to always appear. If it doesn't have the asterisk, there's a chance that thing does spawn and therefore does their respective mechanic. In addition to that, there are other things, mostly awakening bases, like you need it, you'd be nice to have, but not a priority, and then not relevant. And then lastly, whenever I say effective health, if I ever do, it means how much health you have from your health multipliers and your damage reduction amounts. So for instance, Nautilus, Royal Oak, Seawolf, they have 16 times effective health with dual leaders because they provide 2 times health and 50% damage reduction each, which means 4 times HP, 75% damage reduction. It's just a good way for you to try and mentally calculate how tanky your team actually is. So basically multiply your health by your respective damage reduction and just figure out how much times health you have. And then I'm also going to assume you have like follow-up attack / auto follow-up attack, which most things have, L, and VDP as needed. I will highlight if there's a notable VDP spawn. So for the point of this video, I am going to just look at the alt version. The 2 dungeons are nearly identical, except the alt version has an extra floor. And for the current fairy title, it is best to actually utilize this checklist here and try and follow the respective multipliers. So remember, 4 times health and recovery for on-type cards. So in this case here, it's healer and devils. Enemies hit 3.5 times harder. The paste bin link that Wet the System made doesn't have the alt version. You're just going to have to do the damage multipliers when you see there and adjust some of the floor numbers because there is 14 instead of 13 floors due to the gems appearing. So for all the floors, most floors actually have possible 2 different spawns that could appear. Most floors do, and that's why a lot of mechanics may or may not show up, because you're going to have them possibly only appear 50% of the time. So things that you must bring, or at least I personally feel you should bring, are a way to make sure you kill all the spawns before their 6th turn. You have 6 turns to kill everything that's not the final floor. If you don't kill them in 6 turns, you will be executed. That is a problem. Make sure you kill things fast enough. Furthermore, you also need to have 2.1 million effective HP for floor 10, which is always going to appear, which is the gem floor, which is new. So the regular version does not have this gem floor. And they hit for a comically high amount of damage. But at the same time, because if you're using those on-type cards, you're going to have a bigger health number as well. So hopefully you're able to figure out how much effective health you have and can you tank these, because they do have super resolve, which means you will have to tank a hit, and only some of them are delayable. You will most certainly get runs where all of them cannot be delayed, and therefore you're going to have a problem if you didn't bring a shield or enough effective health. In addition to that, you want to have 36 billion VDP damage over 6 turns, and this is to kill Patty on floor 13. It's working out to 6 billion damage every turn with VDP. So if you have like a VDP active skill, then everyone's obviously hitting through much harder. But the point of the matter is make sure you have enough VDP damage to actually kill Patty, or again, you're going to die on turn 6. You want to have 6 skill delay resists on your leaders, which is because they will be delayed on floor 1. This is the only delay in the dungeon, and only your leaders get delayed. So your subs don't need skill delay resist, just your leaders. So just keep that in mind. Or conversely, if you have more than enough skill boosts, you don't have to bring those SDRs then, because you'll be fine anyways. You need to bring Unmatchable Clear. There's going to be a random one on floor 4, and then it's always going to happen on floor 4. So if it's your important color and it becomes unmatchable, you're just going to die. On floor 12, there's a 50% chance they appear, and if they do appear, they make hearts unmatchable for 5 turns. And you might think, well, this is a lot of spacing, which it is, but it's problematic because your Awoken Bind needs are quite steep as well. On floor 7, there's a 50% chance you'll need it. Floor 10, another 50% chance you're going to need it. Oh, sorry, floor 11. And then also on floor 14. So if you take a look at it, floor 12 and floor 11 are back to back. It can be potentially quite problematic. You need to be mindful of that fact and be ready for it. Floor 14 is the boss, so you're going to have probably lots of turns before you actually hit them down into that Awoken Bind need. But point of the matter is, you need to make sure you have a way to deal with floor 11 into floor 12, because not being able to match hearts and not being able to heal for 5 turns is going to be a problem. So either stall a little bit on floor 11, making sure you kill them by turn 6, or you have another card who could clear unmatchable. A good example is you have a cleric and then you have someone like Pop. And Pop or Wedding Trailo removes unmatchable along with other benefits they do provide. So basically the idea is you want to have a solution for those back-to-back floors, because that definitely can be problematic. There is an RCV debuff potentially on floor 2 and floor 11. These are 75% reduction. It's going to be quite painful if you don't actually bring those buffers, especially when you get to floor 11 when you're going to be tanking hits and it's going to be hard to heal up. There's a movement time debuff potentially on floor 2 and floor 11 as well. There's a lot of problems going on. If I'm not mistaken, actually, maybe I made a mistake. Floor 11, no, I'm right. It's actually correct. It's RCVN movement time debuffs. A lot of problems happen there. You want attack buff for floor 14. I feel like every leader has an attack buff anyways, so it's just going to happen. You want to have 2 turns of damage absorption void, because there is the chance on floor 8 it appears. The chance on floor 9 it does appear. And back-to-back is obviously problematic. You only have a 25% chance for them to actually occur back-to-back, but if it does occur, you could have a problem. Floor 9 is delayable, so I oftentimes would delay floor 9 if floor 8 does not appear, because you do need to have it again for floor 14, which does have a 20% spawn chance, but that's Blue Albrecht, and it's arguably the best one to get in terms of the gem drop, because you need to get that to make one of the best clerics in the game for water, actually the best one. And you also want to bring L's, because with locked Skyfalls, your life is going to be terrible. And then there are multiple instances of boards being locked, or boards or orbs being locked. Just be mindful of that. So either make sure the L is ready to unlock it, or you have someone who could have an on-demand orb locking active skill. In terms of other things, you may want to bring poison resist, jammer resist, blind resist. You can probably get away without them, but it's nice that you have them, so it's not as horrible of a run. But I strongly recommend you get tape and cloud resist, because if those spawns do appear on floor 3, and there's a very high chance they do, you'll have 20 turns of clouds or 20 turns of tape. That's going to be an absolute nightmare to try and deal with, so I'd rather not. There is no skill bind floor 1, so entering the dungeon if your leaders don't, or your transforming cards don't have skill bind resist is okay, but it might occur on floor 2. There is a 75% penalty. There's a penalty on... For leader swapping, there is a 50% chance it occurs on floor 12. Obviously, it's problematic if none of your subs are strong enough as a leader that you get smacked. And then there is a 7x6 notable punishment. There's a 50% chance you'll get a preemptive of 2.3 million damage on floor 8. So basically, you need more health than you did for the gem floors to tank this if you're 7x6. Just be aware that you're going to get a big smack, but you were going to get a big smack from the gems anyways. And then things that are great to have but a lower priority are Poison and Jammer Surge. There's a 50% chance the spawn that does this will occur. It's nice if you have it, but it's not necessary to go completely out of your way. At worst, maybe just put 1 on the team and then you should be okay. You would like to have possibly 100% damage reduction to survive Dark Albrecht, which is on floor 14, because if you don't kill him in 7 turns, he executes you. So It's only, I feel, truly a big issue for wood-based teams because he is dark to start and then fire from 50% and below. So wood-based teams are going to have even more difficulty trying to chunk their way through this incredibly tanky spawn. So having that 100% damage reduction is nice, especially if you have Toon World, because Toon World solves dark and water Albrecht on the final floor because it's the damage absorption and the 100% damage reduction at the same time. So it's nice to bring, but not necessary unless you are a wood-based team. And then you want to possibly bring a counter to spinners slash roulettes because spinners occur on many, many different floors of the dungeon. On floor 4 to 5, you probably want to use the spinners in order to overcome the board change that does occur preemptively. So you'd like those spinners, or if you have a full board changer, but you would like those spinners in most cases. And then floor 13, they're guaranteed to make spinners if you don't kill her fast enough. And this is Patty, which needs lots of VDP damage, so it might be a bit of a problem potentially. And then finally, for the last great to have but lower priority aspect, would be 5.4 million auto follow attack damage. And if you have 5.4 million auto follow attack, you will bypass Saria's puzzle on floor 9, which she might appear. And those are the main mechanics that you want to bring to give yourself the best chance possible at actually overcoming this dungeon. It's incredibly difficult and challenging, but if you are successful in clearing it within the 30-minute window, you will have a fairy title, which makes you look quite special and pretty overall. So with that being said, let me know what you think about these videos in the comments below. I'm going to try and make an effort to actually finish up my mechanics checklist. So I'll try and get Shura 3 and I'll try and get, like, say, maybe MD2 and maybe like the Valkyrie Seal dungeon and those other hard descends. That's our idea. So that being said, hopefully you all have a truly fantastic day. I wish you all the very best luck in your own pad adventures and happy puzzling.